It's Crapgamer here, and Phil Spencer did a interview with Major Nelson, Xbox Live's Major Nelson. You guys know him. Larry Herb, he did Major Nelson's podcast, which I will link, and he dropped some very, very interesting bits of news, and I thought it was very incredible how he's pretty upfront about their plans for the future in terms of adding more studios, in terms of what they're going to be able to do in the future. But he also said some very interesting things in regards to not having to copy the future of what Sony does, right? So basically, he was talking about how Microsoft has continued to add more first-party studios. He had some very interesting things to say. He said, the kind of capability we have now as a first-party organization, I do think it'll continue to get bigger. What we have right now is just so different than the position we've been in the last 5 years, which is awesome. And he goes on to continue to say things like, we don't have to copy anybody else. We're in a unique position to do our own thing, to forge our own path. And I think that's exactly what they're going to do. If you look at what they've done this generation, it hasn't been great. I'm a huge Xbox supporter, but I'll be the first person to tell you that the Xbox exclusives, aside from what we've had at the beginning of the generation, just don't stack up well. Especially when you get to the later part of the generation and you look at what Sony is offering in terms of God of War, Spider-Man, Uncharted. They just have a very big plethora of very polished AAA exclusive games, and Microsoft to date hasn't. Like at the beginning of the generation, it was great, right? I bought an Xbox One based on what they had to offer, right? They had Forza Motorsport 5. That's my favorite racing series, obviously. They had Titanfall within the first few months of launch. Amazing game, but they didn't lock it down. They had Dead Rising 3. Probably my favorite in the entire series. One of the only one aside from 4 that I've been able to beat. It was the most polished, the most, I guess, realistic, quote-unquote, if you want to say that. Rise, Son of Rome. It's still one of the top 10 best-looking games of this generation on the supposed weaker console. This is one of the things that I was talking about for a long time. We continue to see these games flourish at the beginning of the generation, right? So within that first year of the Xbox One, people don't want to admit it, but there was a lot of very good games. They had the Halo Master Chief Collection, Forza Horizon 2, Sunset Overdrive, the aforementioned Titanfall, obviously the Rise Son of Rome, which even though it didn't score well, a lot of people liked the game. You also had, like I said, Forza Motorsport 5 and, of course, Dead Rising 3. Killer Instinct was in there as well. So very, very big name games, a lot of cool stuff. Later on, we would get games like Quantum Break, which obviously wasn't the best received game, but still a solid entry. You would get Gears 4, Halo 5, some amazing Forza Horizon games. Thank God that we've had those games this generation. I couldn't imagine where we'd be without them. The Ori and the Blind Forest. So we've had a good mix of games, but we haven't had those new type games that just blow people away. I know I'm not a big proponent of Horizon Zero Dawn, but that game scored amazingly well and obviously sold a lot of copies. And then when you see stuff like Sony going after Spider-Man, which they did successfully, and then you look at what Microsoft has done, they have the money, but they haven't been able to go after any of these things successfully the way that they should have. They have the money to go after Disney and say, hey, can we get an exclusive game? Can we do this? Can we do that? And I think that's something that they're going to have to continue to do if they want to keep pushing Sony. If they want to keep ahead of Nintendo, you have to be able to keep doing that. But what I also like is Phil Spencer's response in that they don't have to keep up with the Joneses. They don't have to continue to they don't have to continue to do, we're going to do a God of War clone, right? I don't think Xbox fans want a God of War clone. I think what we want is our own really polished exclusive games, right? Would I love a hack and slash game exclusive to Xbox? Surely I would. I would absolutely love that. I think that would be absolutely incredible. Will we get that? I don't know. I do think that Microsoft believes that sort of games as a service is a thing, that most things should have multiplayer. And I get that because I am more of a multiplayer person. I was looking at my total hours played on PlayStation for last year because they're doing that recap or whatever. And I put more hours in PUBG alone on Xbox than I did the entire year on PlayStation 4 games. And the reason being is I am more of a multiplayer gamer. And yes, I played single-player games. I put, 70-plus hours into Red Dead Redemption 2. But obviously, I'm going to play those games on my preferred platform and, achievements and that kind of stuff. So all that stuff is very important to me. And when you see Phil Spencer do an interview like this, and he's very upfront, and he says that they're going to bring out more studios and they're going to be doing, expanding even more, you have to like where he's coming from, right? You have to absolutely be thrilled where this guy's coming from, because before, Microsoft really didn't have a pot to piss in when it came to, the Xbox brand and what they were doing. So I think that now he's pitched his idea to Satya Nadella, the CEO of Microsoft. Now he has a much bigger checkbook. Phil Spencer was the guy behind the Minecraft acquisition. I know a lot of people like to bring up games that have large install bases, Destiny, whatever, World of Warcraft. The biggest install base in any game is Minecraft. I think it's something close to 100 million a month are playing that game. And it's made its money back that they spent for it. And it's really put Microsoft on the map. And I realize that is like this multi-platform game. But games can continue to grow, and thanks to like Project xCloud and things like that, and Game Pass, obviously the Netflix of video games, Microsoft took a lot of these ideas that were already out there and ran with them and kind of molding them into their own sort of idea. And I think that that's really, really important for what Microsoft wants to do. Now what we have to see is how they can actually get this to pay off for them in the long run, right? How can we get this to actually be something that attracts people to the platform, whether it be on Windows, whether it be they buy an Xbox, whether it be they buy a streaming box, whether it be they play it on a tablet or whatever. As long as they're playing Xbox games, I think that that's something that they should be excited about. Now, where things really start to get interesting is when he talks about the expansion of the studios and how they have no sort of mindset to be Sony or to be a Nintendo. And I think that's very critical too, because you know what? Sony and Nintendo have their own fans, and people buy those platforms strictly for them. They don't want to play copycat games of Sony. They don't like. Do we really want to play Uncharted type games on Xbox? Like, I mean, we might want to play something that has that sort of heavy narrative for sure, right? But I don't want to play a clone of Uncharted or a clone of Tomb Raider just because I like those games, right? I want something much better than that. I want something forged of their own path. Anybody can sit there and copy something, but I think it takes really something of a genius to make your own thing and to get it out there to where people can sort of enjoy it as its own entity. And I think that's what Microsoft is in the midst of doing. And I actually think that it's very, very important for them to continue to do that and continue to invest. And it looks like they have a very big budget for these games. Like, their games seem to have an incredible budget, and we're seeing that continue to be the case. I got to say, Phil Spencer sounds incredibly poised in this podcast. It was nice to see this interview. It was nice to see him continue to talk about the things that they're going to do in the future. Invest in Xbox, right? Like, we don't want Xbox to go away. We want Xbox to be around for a long time. And so for Microsoft to continually invest in the platform, obviously that means that they believe in the platform. And this might be the first time that they've actually believed in the platform, bar none, right? Like, we've seen the other interviews before where he said Microsoft or the Xbox brand was the garage band, right? They could practice, but they couldn't get too loud. They couldn't do their own thing, right? This is the problem. You can't have that if you're Xbox. You have to be able to take risks. You have to be able to do your own thing, and you have to be able to, forge your own path. And I like the fact that they're doing that. Their hardware, they're going all out with the hardware, and he even mentions this. Their software, they're doing their own thing. They have so many things that they're going to be doing. I think that that's absolutely incredible, and I love what I'm seeing, and I love what I'm hearing from the man himself, and this is absolutely an incredible listen. I will link it in the description so you guys can check it out. blows me away. Every time I hear Phil speak, he's confident, he's very proud of what Xbox is doing, and I think that, fans are starting to catch on to that and are starting to see that for themselves. And at the end of the day, man, Xbox is going in the right direction, no matter whether you're a fan or whatever. If you're a gamer, you should be happy that Microsoft has been able to sort of achieve these sort of things, and it's very, very critical to the success of gaming, not just Xbox, but gaming in general needs Xbox to be successful. Like I said, if you enjoy the content, please like, share, and subscribe. This is Crapgamer Reviews. Thank you guys so much for watching. Rack 'em up. Crapgamer out.